Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of Hellboy Arm Wrestling Entertainment. Here's your personal Hellboy Matthias Schlitte, and there's nothing else to speak about. King of the Table Part 4. So today we would like to talk about the whole event, what was good, what not so good, about the matches, and of course about the main people of the evening, Levan versus Devin. So stay tuned. So finally at the weekend, Core Sports and a personal record by Larry Wheels brought us King of the Table Part 4, including the main match of the evening, Devin Larratt versus Levan Saginashvili, the Canadian No Limits versus the Georgian Hulk. But before we talk about this match, first let us talk about some ground conditions about the whole event. So it was again located in Dubai in the Emirates, and this time it took place in a sport club between some very fast vehicles. So it was not a real just a stage or just a stadium or whatever. It was in the middle of this kind of sport club with the whole vehicle. So that means there was no special stage. It was in between the crowd, and the table stood there in between the crowd. It was a little bit like a feeling like the WAL. In my opinion, I like it more if you have like a clean stage with a clean background, like on East vs West, and especially in the breaking times between the rounds, the sportsmen also were in between the crowd. It was not too crowded, just with maybe like 200 people on two different levels, but hard to judge. But I prefer the stage possibility, like on East vs West or like on the PAL events. So don't know how about you? Do you like more the professional sport event stage, or do you like more the bloody sweaty WL in between setup? So tell us in the comments. Yeah, so that's it. About the whole streaming stuff, all went pretty well. It was with a reasonable price of less than $10, so I can highly recommend for you to buy this event to support arm wrestling and to support King of the Table. It was good. It went pretty smooth, pretty well. I did it myself. I watched it with a desktop version on my television, and everything went brilliant without any freezing or any problems. So that was very good. And yeah, all matches were on time, and all matches. So before the main match, we had two matches before, all were on time. The event took not too long, which is quite good because, in my opinion, I like it if the people stay a little bit hungry and if it's not too many matches, but that's everything. Everyone likes different, and yeah. So and every sportsman and every match was introduced by a little video interview. First we had Irakli versus Martial Barbosa. So Irakli was very dominant in this way. He had a weight difference, I guess, around 30 kg, and I never expected that Irakli would pull so dominant there. So he dominated this match, and Marcio didn't came good in and out of the match. Maybe he was a little bit injured, but he stopped after some rounds, after 4 rounds, and gave the victory to Irakli without pulling the last 2 rounds. So that was a little bit a shame. And then on the second match of the day, we had Alex Kulicha, the Ukrainian from Poland, versus Korey West. Was a great match. I guess it was the heaviest match of the evening. We had Alex Kulicha with 150 kg, and we had Korey West with nearly 200 kg. Alex did pretty well in my opinion. He spoke pretty good English. That was very surprising for me. Very good charisma. I like this guy to watch, and yeah, good mindset and a good technique. But Korey West is not so experienced like Alex is, and I guess it's he didn't have so many matches out of the US. Most of the guys probably know him from the training videos versus with Michael Todd together, and but it was like it's a huge guy, so I just saw body on the table. So I just saw body, body, body there and nothing else. And he was quite good defense, but Alex did well and had the better momentum and the better movement. He fought a little bit out, but I know this problem when you slip off the pad, so that's quite hard. But yeah, but at the end of the day, Alex Kulicha took home the victory and gave some very nice words to the people from Ukraine versus war, and to his Polish friends as well. So it was a pretty intense match. I like this a lot. Probably my favorite match of the day. We just has heard. Yeah, and before we are going to the main match, we have to speak about some things. First, let me mention this. The stream worked well, but I guess there's some work to do with the directing of the whole event. Sometimes Neil stood in the dark. Sometimes we had some problems with the lights. Sometimes it was a bit too late with the lights. Sometimes it was a little bit too early with the dark. And especially like the camera positioning and the quality of the cameras was a little bit, yeah, not so perfect. Probably they can use some other cameras or some other angles, because it was a little bit late sometimes. The slow motions were a little bit late sometimes, and the graphics were a little bit late sometimes. But that's everything. You can develop, you can do better, and it's still some way to go until we got the quality of Formula One or UFC. But we're on the right direction, and that makes me happy. And with some probably more ideas about the lighting and the directing, then it's getting better every time. Yeah, and the other thing, who had the hardest job on this day? I think it was definitely Bill Collins, the head referee of the US. I know all people were hot for the matches. They were moving, they were shaking, but especially when it came to referee scripts, and it came a lot to referee scripts. And if you do it like you have to do it by the rules, normally sometimes many matches were decided by fouls, and maybe probably that was the beginning, especially like Martial Barbosa, were shaking and moving as hell, and normally Bill Collins at least has to give him two defeats by fouls in the referee script. So that's pretty hard, and I can imagine that if you're like a promoter, or if people are buying the stream for the matches, and probably there are many people there who never saw an arm wrestling match before, and that's maybe the first arm wrestling match what they bought on pay-per-view, then you want to see that decided by matches and not by fouls. But maybe that got a little bit out of hand. Probably it can help when Bill gives from the first rounds some defeats by fouls, but I cannot tell you what is better. But I guess if somebody can get a solution about this duty, it will be Bill Collins and his referee team. So, and finally, after two matches in the pre-rounds or in the introduction, we saw the main match of the evening, the match between Levan Saginashvili, the Georgian Hulk, PAL champion, top 8 champion, multiple world and European champion from Georgia, and we saw the legend Devin No Limits Larrett. This man needs no introduction. More than 20 years in the sport and one of the most popular arm wrestlers of all time. And then finally, both face on the table on King of the Table Part 4 in Dubai. Yeah, so what should I say? Introduction was nice. Both came to the table. First, Levan was the first one. Uh, Looked very dominant, very head up and very sovereign. Never expected this. Probably the last stages of top 8 give him some idea about how to act. So he did a pretty well job. especially in the first rounds. The first guys were not so used to this walk in like on boxing or on UFC matches, and he had like some nice attitude of time there and did pretty well. So stepped first to the table, and then on the second one we saw Devin No Limits Larrett to the table. So, and if we can take a look to Devin, he looked massive, 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 and that's an all. I guess that's the last picture we saw of him from Canada, and then he stepped to the table. He have also Levan in the background, and then he stepped to the table with his fighting haircut, which is no haircut because we saw the big bald Devin Larrett again. So, and he started to step out of the dark and directly started to bring up his mindset, try to troll Levan, spoke to him directly, was face to face to him before they stepped to the table. So he did everything what he could to make him insecure, but nothing happened. Nothing changed, and from the first round we saw the Devin Larrett how he acted versus Denis Tsiplankov. He tried to start before the starting signal and give him some ideas and to move over with some jump starts, but nothing changed, nothing happened, and it doesn't help. So from the start on, we saw Levan very dominant. We saw him without any fault and without any idea that he could lose this match, and yeah, and everything came true. So Levan said before that he's levels above of any other arm wrestler on the planet, and he proved it. So even if you can see it now in the background here, even with a proper defense, so just to bring the forearm next to the biceps to keep it tight and to try to block it, Levan was like a bulldozer. You couldn't even see what Devin wanted to do. I guess on the first round he tried to hook Levan, but it doesn't change anything. And especially on the second round, there are some rumors and some sayings in the internet that he maybe got injured, teared his biceps. He also said by himself that Levan ripped his arm off, so maybe that's a bicep tear. But that's a good thing on Devin. He didn't stop after this might injury. Many people would say, "Oh, I can't pull on," and then after 2 rounds, there would be the finish of this great and long-awaited matches. But Devin went on, which gave him much credit from my side and from most people around there. And finally, he was part of the real, the crown of the king, I would say. So Levan got the crown, got the undisputed king of heavyweight arm wrestling. And after 6 rounds, we got a 6-0 of Levan Saginashvili without any big problems. And Devin showed some respect to this great warrior, thanked him that he was part of this legacy, and gave him the hammer. So now he's a true holder of the hammer, and I guess there's now no doubt about who is the real king of heavyweight arm wrestling. And we got the first time the situation in the whole world that we have an undisputed arm wrestling champion, Levan Saginashvili from Georgia. Big respect. Yeah, so that's for Levan, and I guess he can probably reign this crown and reign this duty for the next years. He's still in his early 30s, 33 years old, and if you can look at Devin, you see what you can do with 47 years, and which is much more interesting would be where Devin will be now. So he said that after this match, it's always like hard, and it takes so much energy off for the body, but also for the mindset after these big matches, and he wants to take a break and have a um very calm and quiet summer, which I can 100% understand. But it will be very interesting what we see after it. So I would prefer to see him to get his real position in the world ranking. As I told you in the last video, it was hard to judge from the matches versus Michael Todd and versus John Brezeng where he stood at the moment. And now it would be very interesting how he would perform versus Ernest Gasparini, versus Alex Kulicha, versus Dave Sheffy or versus Vitaly Laletin. So that would be very interesting. So we would know if some people say Devin is not even in the top 10 anymore. Some people say that he's on rank number 2. Silver's also good. And some people say that he's 5th. And I don't know this, but I would love to find this out. So that's about this very good, huge warriors. So big respect to both athletes and big respect to the new king, to the old king, whatever. And I would also give some huge honor and some huge credit to the hosts of the evening. We got Neil Pickup as a main host of the evening. He commentated, but he also was on stage for the interview sequences. It was so fun to listen to this man. I know him from the Arm Wars events. Brilliant in commentating, not only at arm wrestling, but a true legend on and off the mic, on and off the table. It was very fun to hear him, and I would love to hear him in the future as well on this event. And we got this very British entertaining part, and we got the Latvian part for the numbers, for the facts, and the voice out of the off. The voice of arm wrestling, Coach Ray, was brilliant with his knowledge about facts and about the techniques. That was pretty good. So that was like a brilliant duo, and it's always fun to have a guy from England with his mother tongue in English, and with a guy who's not a native speaker. Sometimes it's easier to hear, especially for the people who are not too used to English. So yeah, so that's it. King of the Table Part 4 is in the books. It was a great event. It was great to watch. Big thank you again to the sponsors, to Larry Wheels for stepping this up, and to Core Sports for the whole event. Yeah, tell me if you liked it, if you don't like it. So write it in the comments, and stay tuned, stay happy, stay healthy.